Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. This week, Jim Souhan is back from his whirlwind, glorious European vacation. He was in Greece, he was in Italy, so I have to pick his brain on that because I'm jealous. But we're also talking Olympics, loving Snoop Dogg. I don't know about you, but I'm loving it. Also, Vikings, training camp, Twins, wild signing, Brock Faber. So much to talk about. We'll break it down with Jim when we come back.
Yes, welcome back to Dawn of Sports. Dawn has been carrying the load for a while now. I'm Jim Souhan. I am back from a vacation, and we're going to talk about the Olympics, Snoop Dogg, celebrity meetings, some local sports. But Dawn, let's start on a personal note here. I know you've been to Italy. You've spent time there. You loved it. I just got back with my wife from a trip to Greece and Italy, and I want to start here. Okay, I knew it.
Welcome
looked
back,
really
by the
cool.
way. I've missed you.
Oh, stop it.
I
Anyway,
have.
It's the scenery was great, but I wasn't surprised by that. The food was great. I wasn't surprised by that. You know what jumped out at me, Dawn? I don't know if you had this experience when you were overseas. The level of attentiveness and hospitality we received from the people we came across. I didn't, I've traveled a
The
certain
nicest
amount in Europe,
people.
but
The
I can't-
nicest.
Yeah, I knew that I expected decent service. I expected everything to go well, but the way the Italians especially went out of their way, and these are people working in hotels, bars, restaurants, on the street, they didn't just want to do their jobs. They wanted to make sure you had a great time. They were incredible. I was blown away by just how friendly everybody was, how much they wanted you to enjoy their country.
And where did you go? What cities? I felt the same thing. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with how they treated you. I fell in love that they're always smiling and having fun, like, oh, relax, enjoy, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So we flew into Venice, spent a night there. We took a cruise around the Greek islands. By the way, if you ever get a chance to go to Santorini, Greece, I've
That's
never
on my
seen anything
list.
quite like it. It's incredible. Then we came back, did Venice, Sorrento, Positano, Florence, and Venice again. And the highlights of the trip were Santorini, Greece, the Amalfi Coast, which is absolutely beautiful, and then getting to walk around the canals of Venice. So it was all great stuff. But really, the whole experience was heightened by the nature of the people there.
When I went, and you went to most of the cities I didn't, we flew into Florence, spent a week in Cortona, which is in Tuscany. It's basically the town where Under the Tuscan Sun was filmed, and it was beautiful. And then I speed dated Rome. That's what I said. We went down there for a day and hit all the spots, but loved it. And then we went to Cinque Terre. And if I'm not saying that correctly, but Cinque Terre, they just say it so beautifully. It's like the Amalfi Coast, just northern. So it's in that Italian Riviera. So I'm with you, Jim. I'm jealous. I've never been to Santorini. I want to hear it's white and blue, right? It's just bursts of white and blue and beauty. But
It's
Italy
white and
was
blue.
amazing.
It's also what they call the caldera, which is basically a huge bay created by a volcanic eruption however many centuries ago. And so everything's blue and white, packed into the side of a hill, into a hillside, and you're looking down on the caldera as the sun sets obviously to the west. And I've been a lot of places. I've done a lot of things. I've been very privileged with my travels. I've never seen anything like it. It's like if you lived there, you would just build your entire life around being on that hillside at sunset every day.
Oh my goodness. Now, do people that don't happen to have the house that's right on the water there, do they come from their homes and just watch the sunset there?
Yes, because there's bars and restaurants throughout, so it's what everybody does, and you just wouldn't miss it. And then you can either take the cable cars down to the dock if you have to get back on a ship like we did, or you can ride a donkey down the winding path all the way to the
Please
bottom.
tell me you did that.
Oh no, my wife and I were in a bit of a hurry. We stayed too long. We had to rush to get down. So we did the worst possible thing. We sprinted down the donkey path, which meant we were basically in a reality show where you need to move fast while avoiding massive amounts of donkey poop. I don't
See,
recommend
that's
it. But
Instagram
we
versus
did it.
reality, Jim.
Yes, we did it. We did it. We're athletes. We're fake athletes. We did it.
Avoid the poop. Avoid the poop.
Yeah,
Oh
avoid
my
the poop.
gosh.
Exactly. Left, left, left. Okay, right, right. It was like a really bad dance step, I think.
And I have to say this too. The best pizza I've ever had in my life. Now,
Oh,
people
incredible.
are like, yeah, of course, but it melts in your mouth. You don't even realize there's a crust there. And it doesn't hurt your stomach. I don't know about, sometimes I know everyone's going to say it's the gluten. Well, I know that. It's just, everything is just fresher and the flour is made purer and the wine tastes better. And miraculously, somehow, maybe it's because you're walking all the time, but you don't gain any weight. So you're like, bring the pasta, bring the lobster, bring the pizza, bring the
That is all, and
limoncello.
I'll offer one more story from there before we get on to other topics. But so a lot of the places we went were, pretty well reviewed or pretty obvious places you were going to go. We get into Naples. We spent one night in Naples. We're in Naples for a night, and we get in, and it's late and we're hot, and I just want to find someplace convenient to the hotel. So I just Google pizza place, right? There's like one 3 blocks away. We walk up to it. And it's in kind of a grimy block, and we're like, okay, is this really going to be any good? Oh, what the heck? We're hungry. Let's just go down. It ended up being like the best meal of the trip. And again, the people are like bringing us free wine. They're telling us what olive oil we should buy in the States. They basically adopted us while we're there. That's the kind of trip it was.
You know,
And it was
that's
the best pizza I've ever had.
And that's what I love. It's those hole in the walls that you just kind of roll up on. When we were going from Florence and we booked a driver and we were going to Cinque Terre, we stopped to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now, it wasn't a destination, but you're going right by it. So we're like, we have to go see it. But there's this little restaurant, and I can't remember the name of it, right around the corner from the tower. And we just went in there and we went in the back. We had this table. There's like 6 of us. And I had the best lasagna of my life. Now, I don't think of eating lasagna at lunchtime in the summer, right? I wasn't really thinking that, but they were saying that's the special, that's the special. Well, his mama, his noni, his grandmother and mother, they're all there. Mama and noni come out because they made it. Like, it was their recipe. They made it. They wanted to come out and meet the Americans. They loved us. We're like, okay, bring the dessert then. It becomes like this. They just welcome you in as if you're the most special people they've ever met. And they bring you this glorious food. And if they had air conditioning all over Europe, I may not have come back because it was so much fun and so beautiful, but it's awesome.
One last note, as listeners know, I have a gluten allergy. I can't eat certain things. I could eat everything in Italy, no problems. I never got a headache. It was fantastic because they don't put all the crap in their wheat that we do over here. It was amazing. All right, I'm going to actually introduce the show now. This is Dawn.
Okay,
Sports.
woohoo! But welcome back.
From Fox 9. Our producer today is Alex. You're getting to know Alex now. He helped out a lot while I was gone. Good to have him on board. This is part of TalkNorth.com. Check out all of our shows. You know the deal by now. We have the best sports lineup, the best outdoor lineup in town. Check out all the other shows. When you find a show you like, including this one, please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. And we want to thank our sponsors, Rudy Luther Toyota and Aquarius Home Services. And we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio today. All right. You gave me a couple of interesting prompts before the show started. First of all, I know some people are annoyed that Snoop Dogg is getting so much play on the Olympic broadcast. I sense you don't feel that way.
I am not one of them. I can't get enough of him. I love Snoop Dogg. It's the most brilliant thing that has been done, I think, for coverage in a long time because you have to inflict some personality and he just brings it naturally, right? That's just who he is. And he's not faking it. He's not being anything different. And I just think it gets so many different eyeballs on there and I love it. And I'm friends with Mike Tirico, as you know, he's been on our show. So I texted him, I said, you and Snoop Dogg doing the highlights together is not something I had on my bingo card, but I can't live without it now. It's so good.
I do have a problem, though. I just, when I'm watching, I can't tell Mike and Snoop apart. So I wish they would, wear name tags or something.
Right. Especially when Snoop puts on that sport coat. It's very
exactly
different.
The same. I mean, it's a redundancy thing. I remember covering the Twins. I'm talking to Eddie Guardado during probably later in his career. I said, what'd you do this winter? So I played a lot of basketball. I live in L.A. now. And I ended up in the summer league. I ended up playing hoops with Snoop Dogg. I said, "You played hoops with Snoop Dogg?" He said, "Yeah." I would score on him, and I'd run down there, and I'd run down the court screaming, "I got you, Snoop Doggy Dog."
I just love it. I love everything he does. He's just always smiling and he's having fun. And I think when he did some highlights on, was it badminton or something like that? And it's "Don't stop till the casket drops." Like he's just like dropping these lines, you know? And I don't know if his friendship with Martha Stewart has made him become this brilliant guy when it comes to marketing himself and kind of getting into the mainstream. I saw something on social media where he was talking to another rapper, and he's like, "Listen, you have to rap well at the beginning because the name rapper will always stick with you." He's like, "I'm still Snoop Dogg the rapper, but now I do other things." And he goes, "And you have to be open to other things, and you have to be careful of your image because with those other things comes more cash." You know, so he's smart about it. But oh my gosh, he and Hoda, I'm sorry. I cannot get enough. And he just sat down, Snoop Dogg did, with Suni Lee. And they did a little bit. And I put it out there on my stories on Instagram. And it's tremendous. He's like trying to speak French and, you know, talking with Suni Lee. And I'm like, wow, I didn't have Suni Lee with Snoop Dogg either on my bingo card, as I like to say. So I'm loving it. All those naysayers, I'm sorry. I'm on the other side of the fence on it. I love it.
By the way, and this is something else you prompted me, and I haven't still not come up with a good answer, but you were talking about celebrities we've met because of the jobs we do, and non-athletes. Obviously we deal with celebrity athletes all the time. What is the best celebrity moment you've had because of your job?
Oh, I have a crazy one. Now, we're going way back. And way back when I first started my job, I had a part-time job at WBZ in Boston. That was my first job. I interned there under Bob Lobel, who, if people don't know, here in the Twin Cities, kind of like the Mark Rosen of Boston sports when I was growing up. I grew up watching Lobie, and I interned for him, and he actually gave me my first job 2 weeks before I graduated from Boston College. I became his assistant. Soledad O'Brien was the assistant to the news anchor. So back then, it was a thing. You know, it was like an honor to get this job. And so, but that was like 15 hours a week. And when you're paying for Boston College on your own and you're paying bills and student loans, you got to get something else. So I literally walked in to the front door of TV 38 that I don't even think exists in Boston anymore. They were the home of the Red Sox and the Bruins. And they did, you know, like series and reruns and stuff like that. I just took any job because I needed to pay my bills. Well, they had a receptionist job. So here I am. I am a receptionist at TV 38 up the street for the first part of my day. So I worked from like 7 to 3. And then at 4 to midnight, I worked at WBZ. I mean, you got to pay your dues. So when I was a receptionist answering like TV 38, entertaining Boston, like literally, that was how I answered the phone. And people are like, "Is this a recording?" Like, I was good. You know, I could answer that phone. So they had Shirley MacLaine come in. And they had a show called AM Boston. Meg Levine was the host. And so I'm in the lobby, right? And they all come in. I've met so many stars. But you know, you're the receptionist. You're at the desk. So and the desk was pushed off to the side of the wall. The whole lobby was open with the couch on the other side. So, you know, it wasn't like I'm right there when you have to go to the, you know, we walk in the door to the right, there's me. So I'm kind of off to the center. So it's kind of like Cinderella, you know, like I'm like the stepdaughter at that point. Well, Shirley MacLaine comes in with her entourage and everything, and all the GMs comes out, all the salespeople, you know how it can get, right? Everyone's like, la, 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 it's Shirley MacLaine. And they swoop her down to the studio, and I didn't think anything of it. She was lovely. Well, when she was coming back, I had a book. My friend growing up, Craig Washa, he passed away when in college, his senior year at Dartmouth, and he had a brain tumor. And he was a friend of mine. And his dad loved Shirley's book, Out on a Limb. So I had the book with me, you know, thinking, I don't know, maybe I can get it autographed. But I had it tucked behind. That comes into play. So now her interview's over. She comes, you know, gloriously up the stairs, like, ah. And with her posse in tow and all of the TV 38 bigwigs, and she literally parts the sea. She goes, "Excuse me, I need to speak with this exquisite soul," or something like that. And she's coming at me. And I'm looking behind me, and behind me is the wall, right? And I'm like, "What? Huh?" And she's like, "Child, what is your name?" And I said, "Me?" She goes, yes, yes. What is your name? I just felt this aura coming from you. You just emit
I
this.
say that all the time.
I must meet you. And I thought I was being punked, right? Like that's how I met Tariko. Like, what? What's going on, right? And like the salespeople and the GM, they're like, her? You know, I mean, they liked me, they were nice to me, but what? And she couldn't have been nicer. And she's like, no, I just have to meet you. I don't know why. I'm just drawn to you. And I said, well, it could be because this book from my friend who passed, his dad. She goes, no, 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 no. And I'll be happy to sign the book if you'd like me to, but it's you. It's just you. And
That's
she took my
fantastic.
hand and she held it and she looked me in the eyes. And I was like, oh my God, will you adopt me? Like she was so nice. She signed this glorious book for my friend's dad, which brought him to tears. But she was like, no, no, I just felt my life is better. I had to meet you. And then she whisked off out the door. And I was left going, I don't know what the hell. That was before WTF was a big thing. I was like, I don't know what just happened, but it was amazing. So I am an exquisite soul.
In
Just
fact,
so you
that
know.
should be the name of the podcast from now on.
Dawn Mitchell. Yes.
Exquisite soul.
Exquisite soul. She was amazing, but still to this day, I'm like, what? We met so many. Like I would sit there. Who's the Terry Gilliam from
From Monty Python?
Monty Python? He came in, and he was just cracking jokes with me when he first came in. Like it was just fun for, I'm just sitting there answering phones, and they just would just chat with me. And he sent me flowers, saying keep up your good work in your career or something like that. Just like nice people. But Shirley MacLaine, that was the best. That was the absolute best.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to give you my answer. It's not as exciting as yours, but it might be interesting to at least music fans. I'll give you my
Yes.
answer here in a second, and we'll talk a little sports. We do want to thank our longtime sponsor, though, Rudy Luther Toyota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
And yes, we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. I am happy that Minnesota Masonic Charities has chosen Minnesota Bound and this podcast as a place to help spread the word. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
Okay, so I'll give you two different answers to the celebrity thing. First of all,
Okay.
I know I've been around, actors and musicians and like gotten a handshake or somebody introduced you, but I'm not going to count that. Here's where I'm going to go. Number one,
You are an
Stephen King
exquisite
used to-
soul, though, Jim, just so you know.
Stephen King used to rip me on Twitter. That's kind of the
What?
highlight of my life. I don't know. Anytime I'd like criticize somebody he liked, he would come back at me. I always thought that was really funny.
That's awesome.
But here's the one that I like the most, even as though it's not as famous as your celebration.
This isn't a contest. We just want to
Well,
hear your life, Jim.
So I moved to town, and I start playing basketball with people from the Star Tribune. So there's a lot of sports people, of course, and some desk people, but also we would play with John Bream, the music critic from the Star Tribune, and somehow, because of him playing, musicians would start to come play with us. So
Really?
the band the Jayhawks, which actually has provided a lot of music for this podcast network. They were very popular at the time. They were touring. They were a big deal. And Mark Perlman, their bass player, started playing with us. Well, I got to know Mark Perlman, and then John Munson, who would end up playing bass for Semisonic, and Trip Shakespeare, and he would start playing. And then Dan Wilson would come out. Well, now we're getting to a point where I got to know the Mark well enough that I ended up getting to know Gary Loris, the lead guitarist and singer, and we all became friends. Well, Dan Wilson, who was a band called Trip Shakespeare way back then, he now is the guy who has won Grammys working with Adele. He's worked with Taylor Swift. He's written, Semisonic's hit Closing Time. I mean, this guy is a big deal. Lives in Los Angeles, basically works with all the biggest acts. And these are people we just hooped with back in the day. So that's my favorite semi-celebrity encounter.
Can you imagine if Prince just showed up one day? He would have schooled you all.
Well, and there, of course, that reminds me of the great Dave Chappelle, making pancakes. If you haven't seen the Dave Chappelle skit about Prince playing basketball and making pancakes, I won't spoil it for you, but go check it out.
I love any and all Prince stories. We had a
And by the way,
photographer.
speaking of music, I had to interrupt one real quick. Speaking of
Yeah.
music, August 9th at
Yes.
Glicks downtown. Last time my band played Glicks, my band The Barcards, we played Glicks. It was last winter, and we did it in part to celebrate Don Mitchell's birthday and Jerry Holt, our great photographer and great friend from the Star Tribune, to celebrate his birthday. It was such a hit. We had so much fun. We brought out so many cool people. I'm absolutely cheating. This August 9th, we're celebrating the half birthday of Don Mitchell and the half birthday of Jerry Holt. Hope brings a bunch of media people out and just whoever wants to come out and listen to music and dance. So it's Bar Chords, 9 o'clock to midnight, August 9th at Licks downtown. Come out and join us. Oh, we'd love to see you there. Now let's talk a little sports.
So does this mean I'm 28 and a half now? Because I'm always 28. we might move the needle for a half.
27 and a half, Don.
Okay. Yes, let's talk some sports. So let's just touch can I just touch on congratulations to the first of all, the diving team, along with Ms. Bacon and everyone to get that first medal for Team USA when the Olympics opened up. And I know being at Fox, we don't really cover the Olympics because it's NBC's gig, but I love to watch and just seeing Tori Husk and Gretchen get gold and silver in the 100-meter butterfly. Simone Biles, despite her calf injury, just kind of lead Team USA soaring through the qualifiers. I'm eating this all up. And Nick Fink, who was just like 0.02 away from gold, sharing the silver. What I love about Nick Fink, he's 31 years old. He's the oldest first-time medalist in Olympic swimming history since 1904. I think that's when they started keeping the stats. And in addition to it, Jim, he works remote. He's an assistant project engineering manager.
Yeah, it was a great feature they did on it.
It's amazing. So I just wanted to drop that in there saying Olympics, amazing, and I'm in for it. But locally, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with Vikings or Twins, Jim?
Well, let's talk just a little more Olympics because this is
Okay,
the first
good.
time the Star
Let's dig
Tribune-
in.
This is like the first time the Star Tribune hasn't sent anybody to the Olympics in more than 50 years. Rachel Blount, our great Olympics writer, should be there. I think I should be there too, but only if Rachel was going to be there first. So professionally, I
agree.
feel like I should be there. I should be there covering Suni Lee and Sarah Bacon and writing these stories. Personally,
Yes.
it's a lot of fun to sit at home on the couch with my wife and watch this stuff because she loves this. And you know what? I'm not staying in a 10 by 10 dorm, and I'm not riding buses 18 hours a day. So personally, I'm actually just enjoying being a fan watching these Olympics. And one of the reasons is I covered Suni Lee when she won the gold in Tokyo. It's fun to sit here and watch her and Simone Biles do what they do on TV, though.
I know, it's like you have to split your personality, right? Like it's fun as a person who loves sports to watch it and to see it because you see so much. But as a journalist, you need to be there. You can't just like write a story off of what you see on TV, which sometimes that
Although
has to happen.
We do sometimes these days, which we never used to do. But I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I agree. But I remember you covering all of that from Tokyo and being like, wow, because it was just the world was in such crazy times, that I think you read anything that came out of there. You watched anything that came out of there. So I do very much miss you and Rachel. Rachel just who covers these athletes before they even step on a plane to wherever they go. That you feel like you already know them, right? So you're already invested. Like, oh my gosh, yes, that's the story that Jim wrote. That's the story that Rachel wrote. And like, yeah, let me get on my red, white, and blue T-shirt because they're on at like 2 a.m. or something like that. So I am missing that part of it as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's hit some local professional sports here as we go. First of all, let's do our Minnesota Aurora moment. I just wanted to mention that Aurora defender, I'm reading from the Aurora website here, Aurora defender Kellis Barton signs a pro contract. She's not the first. It's just always a reminder that the people who play for the Aurora, many of them end up doing very well because of this stepping stone.
Yeah, and Katie Duong also. So two this summer. So it's just amazing. Keep it going. You know, what they have built in 3 years is amazing, and I love that they're holding true to the mantra. We want to lift up women, and if they leave us for better things, that's what this team is built for. It's not they leave us. It's no, this is what we want. Send forth into the world, right? And you're always a member of Minnesota Aurora, so kudos to them. Yes.
All right, so let's get to the Vikings. Anything I should know after having been out of town for a couple of weeks?
Well, as of right now, today they cut kicker John Parker Romo, meaning that their rookie from Alabama, Will Reichard, he has been 5 years in Alabama, and now he's here. He will be the kicker. In Alabama, he was amazing. He had 84 of 100 field goals in his 5 years there and 295 out of 297, which I think is astounding extra points there. So in camp already, I mean, we haven't really gone deep. They've already said, you know what, he's our guy. So not that that's the scintillating competition that people want to see. They're also talking about wide receiver 3. Who is that going to be? Jalen Naylor is really trying his best to solidify his spot there. So I'm loving some of these competitions that are already from the get-go, Jim. They're just jumping in. What I did like when Wes Phillips was talking about the wide receiver position and the quarterbacks, that he is seeing for this training camp the work that was done when they weren't at OTAs and mini camps, like how these guys got together on their own, that they can see that there's a connection already and not even on the field. Like they really have, whether it's Sam, whether it's JJ McCarthy, with their wide receivers, they've really started trying to solidify the chemistry, knowing each other, their route running, and all of that. And JJ McCarthy's coming on. He's getting a lot of reps right now. And as soon as we get deeper into camp, that he knows that might, slack off a little bit. More and more they get Sam prepared for game 1. But it's a really good feel when everyone's kind of keeping their eye on how's Sam doing, how's JJ. I was just at a pool yesterday with my friends, and I was like, what's JJ McCarthy like? How's he doing? So it's a fine balance where they have to get Sam Darnold ready to be the starting quarterback to start off the season and also bring JJ McCarthy along. And I think it says a lot about their two personalities, Sam and JJ, too, to handle that awkward dynamic of being teammates, being competitors, but also being good to each other. That's been really cool for me to witness so far.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the Wild. We don't always talk a lot about hockey because we have Michael Russo on the network, and he covers everything better than anybody else can. But as we're talking here on Monday afternoon, and I'm about to watch the U.S. women's team play basketball on TV when we're done with this, Brock Faber signs a long-term deal. Not a big surprise. Of course, we know he's a building block, but that franchise has a lot of issues right now, including the fact they're still paying Parisian Suter. They just have not been very good, especially this last year. But Brock Faber is a bright spot for them.
He is, and I'm going to address the Pitchfork Nation that's going to come for people saying, well, what's the difference between this one, 8 years, $68 million? It's not far off, 10-year, $100 million for whatever. You have to pay your young stars to keep them around. And when you have a guy like Brock Faber that came out 47 points, 28 penalty minutes, 150 blocked shots, he's putting his body, soul, everything into this game. And as a rookie, he played all 82 games last year. That's amazing. And when you're blocking that many shots, I don't know what he's made of. But Man of Steel, I'm saying right there, second in voting for the Calder. NHL All-Rookie Team, only one of 4 players in Wild history to do that, along with Brodin, Kaprizov, and Rossi. You have to lock him in. And I would say that's a lot of money, Jim, for him to buy new glasses, but he's got a deal. So he doesn't even pay for his glasses. So maybe he's going to buy Gus Bus a new bus. He doesn't have to get that paper bag of lunch from his mom. But I'm just so happy for Brock Faber. Just a great kid.
He is. And there is a big difference between what they gave Parisi and Suter, 13 years, $98 million, I think it was, and Faber. First, when they signed Parisi and Suter, they knew that the back ends of those contracts were going to be problematic. They knew that those guys weren't going to be this. Now, they didn't know that Bill Guerin was going to come in and cut them. They couldn't have predicted that. But they all knew that there was going to be a problem at the end of the contract. It's what they felt like they had to do to get it done to be competitive again. And guess what? It worked. Parisi and Suter did elevate the franchise for a number of years. This is completely different. This is a young guy, and you're locking up so he doesn't become a free agent and leave you in a few years. And at the end of this contract, he will still be a good player.
Yes. Amen. And he's only getting better, and he's such a good guy. So, I was really happy to read that today. And I think he and Billy Guerin are speaking to media, might be as we speak. So, and today is Monday. So good for them. Good for them to get that locked up this summer.
I do want to talk Twins. I think we're going to wait a week and see what they do at the trading deadline, how this next week plays out. They're still in the thick of things. I think they're a good team. The only real problem they've had is that Cleveland has played way over their heads. It's going to be a really fascinating couple of months here. Let's wrap up this show today, though, Dawn, with an FTG. We don't always do FTGs, but I think you have a good one.
Okay, so I am not a political person. I don't make a lot of political stances. I like, things for social that make social reform. But I'm just doing this because now I don't have cats. Y'all know where this is going. I had a dog. May Wilson rest in peace. But J.D. Vance basically saying that women that don't have children and are unhappy and miserable and raise cats, FTG to that. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's a good FTG. I think that's pretty common sense. And by the way, I have 2 dogs right now, but I've owned cats. And I guess I have children, so I guess I don't quite qualify. But let's put it this way.
Well, some women can't have children, right? I think Jennifer Aniston had a nice retort on that. It's not like for a lack of trying for some of us. So some of us can't, some of us choose not to, and some of us don't even have cats. So take that, JD. And you know what? I like the actor that played him in the movie. I really did. So maybe the actor should just speak for him now. I can't even think of the guy's name right now, but I liked him in that. So
I just think it's a very shrewd political calculation for anybody to tick off as many women as possible. I think it's going to work out just fine for him.
It's going to work out great.
Hey, good stuff, Dawn. Great catching up with you. Again, we'll talk more Twins and Vikings next week, and we're going to very soon be talk about Vikings preseason games. Dawn covers the team closely, so as do I, so we'll be getting to all that. For today, thank you to Rudy Luther Toyota, thanks to Aquarius Home Services, and thank you all for listening.